Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It's September the 29th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And I think I spoke about it yesterday, but I think I'm going to probably take off tomorrow. I may still come in for a couple of hours in the morning and then take the rest of the day off. I hadn't made up my mind yet, um, but I may just take the whole day off. And if I do, there won't be any mid-morning chart tomorrow. So if you're looking for that, and obviously I don't do a YouTube video on Fridays anymore anyway, so it doesn't really affect anybody here that watches the video. So uh, you just won't there just won't be a mid-morning chart tomorrow, and I probably won't be answering any emails or any questions in the forum or anything. But anyway, let's take a look at today's chart. This is our daily chart with the envelope bands on it, and you can see we're still severely oversold. We just it was started off as a really bearish day, and we recovered some of that before the end of the day, but still a really bearish day overall. It looks like we're just kind of going sideways here now. So, and again, we still closed way outside the brown lower line, so we're still severely oversold here. Obviously, we didn't get any follow through on a possible reversal day. That was a pipe dream, at least as of today. So we couldn't even trade back up into that area. So I mean, really what it looks like is the midline still kind of keeping prices pushed lower here. So we'll see what happens. We could continue to just go lower. We may be trying to reach this target here, measured move. We haven't done that yet. We do have a new low in place, so we've got a low that's lower than that. Even today closed lower than this low, so um, that target's been met. But we could be trying to push all the way down to here, and we may just work sideways a little bit and then head lower. We'll just have to see. It's um, it's a little hard to determine what we're doing at this point, so we'll just have to um, see how each day progresses. But anyway, let's flip over to our 2000 tick chart. We'll go through the trades, and we'll wrap this week up, and we'll wrap this day up. All right, here's a look at our 2000 tick intraday chart. You can see we had this blue channel working lower. We had a break here, a couple of legs up. We sold off to a new low, and then we kind of rallied after that. Not very strongly, but we did bounce off those lows, and um, we closed maybe, I'd say 36.25. 30 points higher or so, 25 to 30 points higher it looks like. So, um, which I can remember there were days when we were lucky to get 25 or 35 points moving in the whole day. It's just crazy these days. But the volatility actually, in my opinion, you got to be careful that you read the chart properly. But if you do, it really makes it easier to do what we do. So a lot of people get worried about trading this volatility, and you should be, especially if you're not very good. I mean, you need to be experienced to trade this stuff. So if you're not real experienced, just sim trade it and get your experience. Don't rush to trade live. That's what most people do, and that's why they fail, because you can't read a book or a manual and practice for a couple of weeks or even a couple of months and then come on here and expect to beat professionals that are very skilled at what we do. And it's I try to tell people, and I don't want to get off on a tangent today, but this is probably, we haven't talked about this in a while, but uh, I mean, this is a skill, and just like any skill, I mean, you can't expect to play the piano professionally and by taking some music lessons for a couple of months. It doesn't happen, uh, especially if you knew nothing about it before and never played before. So if you've never traded before, you're not going to practice for a couple of months and go trade professionally. You're trading against people that have years of experience and can read this chart and they understand price movements and they know what prices are doing. And until you get to that point, you're not going to beat them. So don't try. A lot of people want to try to learn with they try to learn to trading live, and you can't do it. You're just going to be a donator. And they need donators to keep the thing rolling. But don't be the donator. I don't want to hire people. Anybody that comes to me, I want to tell you up front, don't be one of the donators. Don't donate your trading capital to skilled traders. Learn on the simulator. I know it's not as fun, it's not as exciting, but if you're here, if you're wanting, if you want excitement, go to the casino. Take your money to the casino. You got better odds because there you're playing the odds a lot more than you are here. Here you're trading against professionals, and so the odds are stacked so much against you that you're not going to win. You're just not. You might win a trade or two and get lucky, but you're just going to give it back at some point. So don't try to do it. Anyway, you can see the two-tiered channel. We had a break with a couple of legs here, and then we moved to a new low. There's multiple legs in that low, and then of course we corrected out of that. But let's zoom in here, take a look at it, what we've got, and go through the trades and wrap this day up, wrap up this week. At 7 o'clock, it came right down through this little movement right in here. And then of course we bounce, and you get notice your new low. Notice that you get a new low here, and you actually get a first entry, and then it goes higher, and then you get a second entry. But really, to me, this looks like first entry. It looks like this is all still part of the move up, and then one leg down, and then your second entry starts here. I like that trade. If you're following it really by the count, it's not a second entry. Actually, if you use the second entry indicator, it wouldn't count right in here, and I tell you to avoid any counts in this. But if you're just looking at it and you're good enough to spot the second entries, that's a second entry right there. There's clearly two attempts to go higher, and turns down, big bearish bar. Just go short right there, especially when you're in a downtrend like this. And that's a nice, easy move. And if you catch that one trade, you may be done for the day if you catch a runner there. But it bounces, and then we're just working sideways. I don't see anything there. This one's tempting because you do get to close outside and move to a new high. You might have taken that one. I'll give that one at least a green. But it's just working sideways. There is enough room there to scalp out. I just think that usually you want to try to you want to see it test that again with something lower than that because that makes a new high there. But notice it closes inside and it's just a stem, so you probably trap some people. So you may take that trade. Then it will actually break out again and move higher. And notice you got the green channel, you get the close outside, and you try to go higher, and it can't. And then finally it drops lower. There's a little breakout pullback right here, but that's too congested. But if you wait a few minutes, it tries to go higher again, and you get a first entry, and then it tries to go higher again, and you get a second entry. This one's a little congested too, but you could also look at this as a first entry, second entry. So you could look at that as a failed second entry long, and maybe you take that trade. I went back and forth about whether or not to make this one green or red. I ended up making it red because I liked it in real time. And so originally there's actually another little short-term channel down through this, working right down through there. And that's why I liked it, because it's right off. It confirms that trend line too. So I probably should have put that on there just to help you visualize it a little better. But then there's the yellow channel too, and then we just keep going lower. There's another, I think there was a second entry somewhere right here. I thought there was. Oh, it's right here. And I marked that one too because it looks similar. It's similar to that one. It's a lot tighter, but we haven't reached the low yet, and we're right at the midline, and we turned out the midline. It's tested it a couple times, so if it breaks lower, you'll probably get a scalp out of it. This thing runs on down and actually overshoots right here. Comes back, gives you another second entry, but it's not a good enough signal bar in my opinion. We're not back to the EMA, not back to the trend line. And so you really just don't get a chance to enter that one. Then we're just kind of working sideways. We do get this breakout here. That's the first. We got an overshoot, so that's another reason you got to be real careful. You're likely to get a break here pretty quickly. And sometimes you'll get a reversal. But notice there's two legs up here. Look how on this breakout and how far we are. You know prices are going to fail. The odds are on your side that prices are going to at least fail, even if it's only temporarily. They're going to come back and probably test this, the breakout level. So I like that. I mean, it's a small bar, 8 ticks, 2 legs up. I mean, away from the EMA. I like that trade. Then we make a lower high, which makes it even better. Still got room to get out there. And it just kind of chops on down. And notice here you try to go higher once, twice. So that gives you a double. You really try to go higher 1, 2, 3 times. So it gives you a triple test of that. And turns it back down. So I like going short right there. We should be headed back down to this side. And you can see it went much lower than that. I mean, we're in a downtrend, so and you can see each time we tried to go higher, it loses a little more momentum. Notice that high. This high is lower than that one. This high right here is lower than this high right here, and then this one is lower than that one. So it's losing momentum. And notice the low is lower, the low is lower, the low is lower. So we're making lower lows and lower highs, even though we were in a range here, and this is still, we're still getting some resistance off that area. That's still lower, that's still a downtrend. And then the bottom just falls out of it. I don't see anything else down here. There's just a second entry right here, but that's too congested. But you don't really want to go short into that, out of that congestion there. It's hard to know where prices are going there. We should be making another low because of this yellow channel, but you just don't know. And of course, this one's played out to the upside too. So, but then you try to go, you make this breakout, then you try to go higher once, twice. Notice how it comes back. We came back and tried to go higher there several times. It's a failed second entry long, very bearish bar right off the, actually you wouldn't know that's key entry point, but it tested this multiple times. But draw your line there, and then all of a sudden you get another test of it here, but you don't get a setup here. Keeps on dropping down. Then it closes out outside here, and it tries to go lower a few times. This one was tempting. It's a second entry short, and you did make a new high. I was trying to decide. You really could make that red because notice you do have a close outside and new high. It just looks a little congested there. Notice we bounced twice here and we turned down twice there, but there's still room to get out, so you could take that trade. Generally, you want to wait on a lower high. So it's close to being green. You could argue for it either way. I'll go ahead and leave it red. And you see what happens. It does bounce here, and then we're just chopping sideways again. And finally, you make a new high here. Try to go higher once. Try to go higher twice. And when it turns down right there, that's where you would consider it a failure. And look how bearish that bar is. I like going short there. There's a hidden second entry there too. Of course, it was a hidden second entry when it triggered past this bar. So when this bar broke past this one, that was where the failure, where the failure occurred. So you could have entered this on an engulfing bar, but I'd wait for this to close and go short there. And what you might do is drop a limit order back in here, but you wouldn't have got filled more than a tick or so back in, and you had to be real quick with it. So, or you missed that trade. And we run on down, and we never did get a new low on this channel right here. Notice that. And we're just kind of working sideways here. And it bounces. You don't want to go long yet. You want to get a confirmed channel, which you get here, but you never really get a good chance to go long. And notice you get your break and it moves straight to a new high. There's a higher low right here, but you got to go long right into the high, and you may not. It's too risky to try to go long right there. You've really missed this whole move. So, and you're still expecting prices to go lower. So when you get this second entry right here short, and you might even, if you were real brave, you might want to, if you want to be real aggressive, you might take that trade. But I say wait and see if you get a lower high or reversal, and this breaks higher and turns down. So you could have, again, I don't think I'd go short on the engulfing bar on that, but that's so bearish. I like going short, and unfortunately, you only get a scalp out of it, and then next thing you know, it's racing higher. So it's just one of those that you know, you thought you caught the move down and you didn't, and it runs back up and just starts chopping sideways. Nothing here I like. There's a second entry right here, but that's your signal bar, the bullish bar. It's too bullish. But then you do get a lower high right here. And again, you've already got a new low here, so you got to be careful with that. But notice, I didn't draw this on here, but notice you got a little congestion area. And so you're playing this a couple of different ways, but this congestion is what I liked about it. It's a lower high, but we tried to go higher twice there too, and it closes outside. We push through, pull back. It's like a little breakout pullback, and it closes outside there. And so if you got enough room between here and here, you probably take that trade. So that's why I marked it red. Doesn't go very far, and then we're rocketing up again. So, and it's just, I mean, we're still looking for a new low. So you just about have to start playing the shorter term trend channels in here. But you got to be real careful about going long. And so you need a really good setup. And I just don't see anything up through that whole move up that I like. And then you get the break. You get a second entry short right here. I didn't mark this one because there's a good chance it turns down and hits the EMA and then runs up to make a new high, because we should try to make a new high on this channel, but we didn't. It tries, it fails right there. It tries again and fails, and it tries a third time and fails. So that's a failed second entry long. Notice the new high, 1, 2. And so if it turns down there, you got plenty of room to get out, and this thing may rocket on down finally. And it does. There's another little lower high right there, but I don't like going short way down here at the very low of that whole move. It turns out to be a good move, but there's no way to know that in advance. And then of course we're working up, but it's also working sideways here. So you get a close outside, it doesn't quite make a new high, and then finally it's pushing lower again. And again, I don't see anything in there that's really worth trading. There's a second entry short here, but we're in that little range, so I don't think it's a very good setup. I didn't draw this one on here. You can see that channel. You get a close outside new high, but your signal bar is the green one, and it's two sideways, so you can't really catch that trade either. But notice you make a new low here, and then you get a first entry, and you actually get you get a first entry and then a second entry. That's where your first entry triggers right there. And notice you get a close outside here and a new high just as it breaks the channel. And that's a really bearish bar. I like going short there. Then it tries to go higher once, twice more. It's a little sideways, and there's some support over here. So I mark this green. But there's a good chance we're going to go and at least make a new low here. So, and you could look at that as a failure. It's just not a very good setup. That's a little congested for my likes there. It runs on down. You probably only get a scalp out of it if you take it. Turns out to be a good move, but you don't get a runner. It makes it hard to get a runner on it. And it bounces. We got a channel working up. We get a close outside. Tries to go higher once, twice. And it's also a new low, so a first entry and a second entry. So that's a second entry short. We're looking for a new low over here. It doesn't look like we're going. This market's. I mean, that's a really bearish move down. So we're going to probably make a new low before we go higher. So I like that trade. First entry, second entry, and then we try to go higher multiple times. But very nice signal bar. Drops down. It does make a new low, and now we rally. And notice I didn't get down to the low there. We already had the break. So we already had a break and new low on the yellow, so it didn't really matter on the yellow, but this lasted long enough that we would expect to see a retest of it. And of course it bounces higher here, but I don't see any chance to really trade it. And then we're working lower again. Break, new low. I don't see anything in here that I like. There's a second entry short here, and it probably got enough movement to work, but you've already had a break in new low. You already had a break in new low of this, so it just felt, I mean, there's too big a chance and it is kind of congested there, so there's a chance you get trapped, and so no reason to take that trade. And it runs on up, and then next thing you know, we're working sideways to back down. And I just don't see any chance to enter anything really from that point on. So, yeah, that's how I saw it. So, I mean, you can't enter in this. You can't go short or long. It drops on down. There is a little trap right there, but I don't think you want to go short on the engulfing bar. So if that would have closed bearish way down here or something and kept going lower, I just don't think you can go short right there, because this has been a pretty good move up, and you're going to expect a retest of the high. It doesn't really confirm the trend channel either. Notice you get a break there, but you can just look at it and tell it looks pretty valid, which I think it is. And you do get the break, and it moves to a couple legs up to a new low, and then it's working just kind of sideways. It's still kind of working sideways to up, but of course, we don't usually take a trade after 2:30, and I just didn't see anything in that last hour or so that I liked. And again, there it is. All the best movement was early on. There was a rally here, but it was just a weak rally, and you're still looking for a new low because of this trend channel that's working out, and that's the first break. So much of this is timing. So that's the reason you got to draw sometimes these other channels and trends and let them play out in ranges. But anyway, I'm not going to beat around the bush today. I'm going to wrap this one up and wrap up our week, and we'll be back again to do it Monday. But I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next